Hello and welcome to Otter Tank, the show where you get to watch firsthand as two CWI students create and pitch their promotional plan to a real client. I'm Dan Garrity from the College of Western Idaho's marketing program. Thanks again for being here. In our last episode, our contestants met Kathy Ussery, owner of Jack's Place in Nampa, and they started to develop a social media plan for her. Kathy, today's the day you hear their direction and their proposed focus. So tell me what it was like going through that first interaction with the students when you met them last show.
It was really good. They both seemed very prepared, and it was an impressive interaction with both of them. They had their own unique set of questions, and they had a little bit different approach at getting me to reveal, what my needs are. And that's exactly what you need to do with your customer, find out what they need.
Totally. We spoke a little bit earlier about when you are the owner, you and your husband, Jeff, and daughter, Haley, have Jack's Place. It's got to be a special kind of love for that place, but you have to spread yourself really, really thin. Honest to Pete, how much time do you spend on promotion and marketing?
I probably should quantify it, but it is a lot. We have a few different things that we work on. So there's many hours in a week that's spent on it, several hours. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're really, really hopeful that what the students are going to do for you is going to alleviate that just a little bit. So time for the students to join and give you updates on their proposed plans. And of course, you're going to make sure they're on the right track. I'll hop out and Brian Rogers will hop in.
Just wanted to go over my general plan. So I'm going to present this in two tiers. One is going to be free, just easy stuff that you can do to make sure that we can improve what you currently already have. I'm going to focus primarily on things like Instagram. I think that it's really going to hit some of your audience, your KPIs. So I'm going to be focusing on aspects of that. I also saw some stuff that I wanted to go over on another social media account, although I won't say what until I actually get to it for a bit of suspense. But obviously the first tier is going to be stuff that we could potentially do today, like stuff that we can absolutely start doing from the now onwards, and little helpful tips that'll be able to get you that actual boost of popularity and followers and what have you.
Okay.
So if it's all right, I would like to actually share my screen if that's at all possible. That way I could sort of visually go over some of the things that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
So this is your Instagram account. I wanted to go over some of the things that I've started to notice. One, I've noticed that you have been doing a consistent bit of visual decor for a lot of your Instagram posts. However, I feel like this actual Instagram style is not really keeping in line with how Instagram likes to present its content to people. So what I've been noticing is that you have a lot of information to get over. You really like to show off a lot of the live bands and the live performers that you have, but everything is kind of being presented all in one place.
Right.
So I actually went and, it's kind of getting blocked by some of the controls up top. Let me just move that. But I actually went and redid kind of something that you'd be doing here on Canva. This is a really easy website. It is incredibly easy for anyone to pick up and use, so you don't have to worry about that. And best of all, these are all based off of templates. I feel like since everything on your Instagram account is being done week by week, these are just drag and drop. You don't have to spend a couple hours on this. You can literally just change out a little bit of information. But primarily, what I wanted to give with this is not that it's one post, but it's several. So it's not going to be several posts in a row, but it's actually going to be what Instagram calls their carousel. The idea that the Instagram carousel is that you can have several images all in one post. So they're going to slide from left to right. It's going to be like flipping through a book. And that way we can start off with the initial bit of information that you're presenting to your audience being, here's your three, or technically there's more people there, but it's going to be like the three main acts for that weekend. So I made this, apologies in advance for some of the quality. I only had access to some of the images that you had on your website. I wasn't able to find some of the artists on their own social media platforms, so I just kind of used what I had. Sure. But this is what people would initially be seeing when they come to your Instagram account or whenever they see something, and then they would be given the information that, hey, there's more pictures. You're going to have this continuous left to right view. So it would go from this post, which has the three main acts, and then it would go to the first piece of information. So yeah, it's your Sam Henry, Tommy Fedek, and this would be going over. So it's going to be March 25th, 6:30 p.m. And then any additional information that you would need for these artists would be presented in the description. So the reason that I've been so against using a lot of text in these Instagram accounts, or sorry, not Instagram accounts, Instagram posts, is because the Instagram algorithm absolutely hates anything that is above 20% of text on an image. So traditionally, Instagram is very much a visual medium. It is meant to be pictures and it is meant to be video, but it is not meant to be just large swaths of information. That's more Facebook and Twitter, and those are great. Those are fantastic. We can reuse that for that, but these are all based entirely on the resolution of the Instagram post, which is 1080 by 1080. And then, you'd go and you'd swipe, and then, oh, well, there's Ashley Rose. She's going to be the day after. So it'll be March 26th, 6:30 p.m. Obviously, these already happened. So this is just an example. And then you'd go to the last one and you'd have, last piece of information, and it would stop with the arrow at the bottom, removing all sort of like, it's a visual representation of a stop. So that way we can get all the information that was being presented in this. We can cut out all this and we can put it in the description. And obviously we would be reworking this. There's no way that people would be able to click this when they're viewing it. So we would sort of rework how we'd work on the descriptions, but we would get all this visual necessity. Like we'd get all the information that we need, and it would be spread over those 4 images, but it'd still be one post. It would work really well with the Instagram algorithm. And it is just a really easy thing that we can do for that. So obviously, this I will be able to give this to you as well if you ever need it. That way you'll just have that template every week that you have new bands coming that weekend. Just plop it in. That way, it's done. It takes maybe like 5 minutes, and you don't have to worry about it ever again.
Nice.
Another thing that I wanted to go over is that you have been tagging all of your posts under the city and not your business. So I understand sort of the philosophy is like, well, if I tag to the city, then people that are looking for the city are going to see my posts, but Instagram doesn't work that way. So the way that Instagram works is that they really like it when you tag your own business, and when you kind of tag the larger area, yeah, you'll show up in posts for Napa, Idaho, but it's not going to have any real association with your business. And if they try looking for information on that, or if they try getting sort of like geodata for it, it's just not going to show up. So for your customers, you're really going to want to start tagging all of your posts for your restaurant and not the city.
Okay.
On top of that, one other thing that I noticed is that you haven't been tagging your artists. Like I'm sure that Sam and Tommy over here have their own Instagram accounts. I'm sure Ashley Rose has hers, and I've seen that they've been tagging you, but I haven't seen you tag them in your social media account or in your social media posts. So it's just a small, simple way of getting people to kind of have a way to link to them, and for them to get notifications that they're being linked to. That way that they can do a bit of cross pollination there, and you'll be able to kind of build up a link between individuals, because it is very much social media. If we're not getting social on this, then we're kind of missing the point. So we're going to want to get on that as well, tag all the artists, tag all the people that are involved. So those are just some of the general ideas to start off with. Obviously there's more, but I wanted to go over some different areas for the 7th. And this will take place obviously before this episode airs, but I wanted to go over the fact that for April 7th, there is going to be the start to baseball season. We're going to want to get on that, have something, if there is anything, that will be something that we can absolutely just focus on here. It'll be a great way to get some publicity and get some people in the door. On top of that, the other social media account that I wanted to talk to you about is your Doordash account. So you probably don't think about this a lot, or as like a social media account, but when people are looking for food and they want to order online, they're probably going to go to Doordash or Uber Eats or something like that. And obviously we went through the pandemic. We know that as a restaurant, you probably had to use that more than once, especially during the early days when everyone was like unsure of, what are we doing? Where are we going? But what I've noticed is that the images are being pulled up from Yelp, and I don't think this is a cheeseburger.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's a cheeseburger. I think I don't remember where it was. I remember that there was a vegan piece on the app which was showing a very meaty burger, which is kind of the opposite of what it was. All the images here, I have a theory, are being pulled from Yelp. So that's my main concern. When people post images to Yelp, it's usually not for the best reasons. We're going to want to get on this. We're going to want to replace all the images on here, because I know that you've taken really great images before of your food. So I know that we have them. We just are going to want to present them, because if people are going and they're going to try to buy your food from something like Uber Eats or DoorDash, we want to make sure that when they're looking at pictures, they're not thinking, is this something like this really what I want to order? We want to present the best possible light for everything that we're presenting for these mediums.
Right.
So those are some of the free ideas, although technically, let me see if I can, there we go. There's obviously a few more, obviously, because it is a social media area. We can absolutely try to pair and get some cross-pollination with some of the local businesses, or not local businesses, but like supportlocal.org, or trying to get help from the Napa City of Commerce's Instagram accounts, because they will absolutely want to support you. And obviously, if you can get their support, then you'll be able to get access to some of their followers, and that's more views, that's more eyes on your brand.
Okay.
On top of that, we're also going to want to see about, for things like DoorDash and sort of those areas, we're going to want to tag you as having vegan options, because it did look like you did have vegan options, but you weren't tagged as such. And my sister's vegan, so she absolutely loves going out and trying new things, but it can be difficult sometimes. And if there are vegans in Idaho and people are moving up all the time from all over, we will want to make sure that they're able to see your business, because that will be a driving force that will bring people in.
Yes.
So, I'm not sure if this would technically qualify as free as well, but this is something that I've noticed from other businesses. So there was this one place called Rise and Grind. Their general business philosophy for social media was, hey, you're buying stuff from us. If you tag us in your post, we'll give you a buck off your order. And people love that, because a lot of the people that you're looking for are going to be looking for discounts, are going to be looking for ways to get themselves like that little extra edge, because obviously I think the general consensus for Napa, like per year salary, is around $15 an hour per throughout the entire year, if everyone works like 40 hours. So the people here are going to generally be very self-conscious about where they spend their money and how much they spend. And if we give them that little boost, that's going to be a great way to push them. But the reason I'm suggesting this is because the way that it worked was they would be doing what they already did. We're like, oh, well, people take pictures of their food or their drinks or what have you, because, that's just what people do nowadays. And what they'd end up doing is they'd end up tagging the business. And obviously this would be part of it. You would say we need to be tagged in order to do it. But suddenly they would be tagging your business to their posts online, to their social media, and then that post is going out and it's being seen by all their friends, all their family, and all the people that are around them. And suddenly your business is getting a whole bunch of hits from people who are attacking you. There's a bunch of people that are, showing off all this great food that they're getting, and they're just hearing all these great things. So they're getting a bunch of free publicity for basically just $1 off an order that is probably like $30. So I know that you're doing something similar for game nights. I think it was for football nights, where if you tagged us on those special nights, then you get about $4 off. But I feel like we could expand this into something a bit more widespread. That way we can absolutely get people that are tagging you on social media. And more so, if we can get their permission, we can potentially, I'm tripping on my words here. We can potentially get them to allow us to repost their posts to our Instagram account. So we can use the posts of like happy, smiling customers that are having a great time with their meal. And we can use that on our Instagram account. That's free post, that's free publicity, like all the way. On top of that, one last thing that I wanted to go over was you had mentioned that you were hoping to also potentially get access to students. First, find out when students primarily get out of classes from the Napa campus. Obviously, you're going to want to try to get to them the moment that they're out of class because they're probably hungry. They're probably thinking, all right, where can I go? What can I do? If they can go to your business and potentially get a student discount by showing their ID, then they're going to be more inclined to go to you than they are to, McDonald's or Applebee's.
Mhm.
Because when you're a student like me, we have to consider what's the distance and what's the food like and how much is it going to cost. But if we can get that student, sort of audience, then, and if we can hit them at the right time, then we can potentially get a bunch of people that are just right across the street coming into your business and sort of starting a sort of a bit of a loyalty with them.
Sure.
So those were the free ideas. There were a few more, but they're just a little sprinkled in here and there. What I wanted to go over was paid suggestions. So last time you had mentioned that you wanted to try out wine tasting, and I'll admit, when I first heard that, I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to go about that. I wasn't sure, well, it's a bar and grill and then wine tasting. Did they necessarily match? But you know what? A lesser man would have said, it's impossible. But not me. I went out and I did the research and I got the contacts. So I have found this really wonderful thing that I think you're going to absolutely love. Some of the other bars in Boise have done it. I think that you're going to actually benefit a lot from it. It's called Paint and Sip, or they also have an alternative by Wine and Design. The general idea is that you commission these individuals that bring the canvases and the paint and whatnot to your business. Preferably, we're going to want to aim for a Wednesday. These are going to be the slow days. Probably there's going to be no sports, really nothing going on. And this will most likely be the slowest day of your week. So we're going to want to fill that in with something. The way that Paint and Sip works is that there's it's like wine and painting. Usually it goes really well with wine moms. It goes towards individuals who, generally try to go for that sort of stuff, like mothers at home who want to go out and have some fun. Maybe they're going to get their kids. Idea is that they're going to go, they're going to paint, and they're going to be sipping on their wines. But what happens is that when they finish their wine, well, they're going to go back and they're going to get some more. They're going to be trying some more while they're having the time of their lives with their friends. And then afterwards, already they've been experiencing a lot of time with your wine selection, but they're also going to be having some paintings, which potentially you can also post to your Instagram account and say hey, look what people did last week. And we're going to be having another event this week or this Wednesday. And then you're going to present all of that to the general moms who don't have a lot going on with their Wednesdays.
Mhm.
So this is going to be a really great way to get an entirely new area of audiences towards your business while giving us access to social media posts, their followers and their friends, and then we're going to be building off of their social circles. On top of that, it's basically built off commission, so you can charge people to come as well. It's just a really great way of getting people through the door that are going to want to have some wine tasting and have a bit of fun around your business on a day that's generally really slow and doesn't get a lot of people through the door. So that's generally the idea. Again, it's called Paint and Sip. They've done a couple things throughout Boise. I'm sure that they can absolutely get some stuff through the door here in Napa. So if you need anything like that, I've got contacts, so I can absolutely help you out with that. Also, I wanted to say that while I do like wine and I think that it's going to work really well for Paint Sip, I would also suggest trying to invest a little bit into mixed drinks. They're a great investment. And I'm sure you probably already know this, but obviously you can pour a couple different drinks in, mark it up by however many percent you want, and people will usually be willing to pay for it because it's a cocktail. It tastes great. If we can get your logo on pieces of clothing or pins or hats or what have you, basically free advertising, not social media related, but I thought it was important to stay because if there is something that we can do for that, it's a great opportunity for getting some posts on that as well. And it's going to be very cheap for you. And it's going to be a great way not only to make money, but it's also going to be a great way for free advertising out in the business world.
Great.
So that was just it for me. So hopefully it sounded all right for you, but were there any suggestions you wanted to go over?
I love the very first part that you presented with those Instagram posts, and I hate the way our Instagram page looks. So I see exactly what you saw when you go on there and you just see this row after row of really not that attractive, not the, you know, photo image forward that you want to be when you're on Instagram. And it's a really kind of a product of not enough time. And we have a really quick way to get that little panel out there. And so that's what we do. But if you presented something that is, again, a quick, you know, it's not a huge time investment to make something look like that. I love it. I think that's really good. And I could see us using something like that, absolutely. And with our other marketing activities that we do, it would not be a time burden, which that's always a primary consideration for us. And then we do actually have a CWI discount. It's the CWI's best kept secret in the world. So
we'll probably want to get on that.
I love it too, but it's just not something that a lot of students, we have spent some time on it in past seasons to try to create awareness about it. And it just had never really gotten the traction. So I know that that's something that we're, you know, because we know students don't have a lot of money, and we figure if we can, you know, help to provide our food to them at a little bit of a cost savings, then, you know, we're happy to do that because we're neighbors, and that's important to us. And as far as the paint and sip, we are actually doing already something like that. It's not
excellent.
Called Paint and Sip because that's a trademark name, but there is a local individual who is out of Meridian, and it's her own grassroots business. And so we have 2 Mondays a month, the first and third, where we call them paint parties. And as it turns out, you're absolutely right on that. It seems that painting and wine go great together. And those ladies like to drink wine when they're painting. So, so you're on the right track with that. It is a great suggestion. We are filling that right now, but I love that you brought that up. I think that's great.
Oh, excellent. Then it seems like besides some of I'm glad that I was able to find some of the things that were gonna problems that were before, and then I apologize for not being 100% on top of the others.
That's okay, because I mean, and that's really just kind of a product of, you know, we're just not doing a good enough job getting that word out and through social media, and especially, you know, especially with the paintings that people could be producing on their own. We already know what it's supposed to look like. That's something that should be front and forward on Instagram and be one of those posts that gets out there and creates some attention that in the right way on Instagram. So I will admit I'm kind of ignorant and every time I use Instagram, I always say I hate Instagram because I don't understand it. And yeah, so some of the things that you presented would be very helpful for me. The other thing too is that Doordash picture page. Wow, that was awful. So I think that would make a big difference. And we do a pretty brisk business with Doordash. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a pretty fair amount, but I just have to imagine what are people thinking when they're seeing those pictures and going, you know, that's an appetizer, that is not a burger, or that's a grilled cheese. And yeah, so yeah. It doesn't present us in the best light. So it would definitely be in our best interest to get that fixed.
But I think we can absolutely refine all these aspects and make them shine. Yeah. So yes. Thank you. Oh, thank you for your time, Kathy.
Sure.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Brian did really good. Like, okay. I kind of just wrote all my ideas out and just wanted to share that, share my screen so you guys could see it too. So I kind of just, wrote all my ideas out just because I'm a visual learner. So I like it to be seen. So from what I saw, so I kind of like did like screen recordings of like your Facebook page and the Instagram page. And as Brian mentioned as well, like I like the repetition that you kept on both platforms. But for like the Instagram, I would say I would switch it up a bit compared to the Facebook, just because I feel like Instagram is a very like visual page, like social
Yes.
media platform. So I feel like if you are also wanting to hit a younger demographic, you would want more appealing pictures, I would say. That way it catches their attention and their eye. And so what I did was I made a solution page for Facebook. So like you could use location targeting on Facebook pages, like adding your own address when you post. Target people most likely to dine with you, so knowing your audience very well and those that come across your restaurant. And then show off your happy diners, so like showing it shows engagement. So I had an example here of a local restaurant as well in Nampa, and it was just an image of like their diners and stuff. So I feel like that would be a fun thing to do for Facebook. And then you could also do like a ad scheduling as well. So here I just did a little example of like what that would look like. So you could do like a 3 p.m. or for Wednesdays, or like a 1 to 4 to Thursday and Friday, and then a 12 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday, Sunday, just depending on how that would look for you. And then a little bit more about the Facebook's ad scheduling. It's just a feature that will let you target delivery of your ads with a greater precision. I didn't even know Facebook had that. I looked into it just so I thought that would be really helpful for you, especially knowing that you're like a busy person. So I feel like that would just help you with your time management and knowing that will be done for you. And then for Instagram, so I just added that it targets more younger users. So here I kind of just wrote out all my ideas. So I said make post every 2 days instead of a week and 6 days, because that's what I noticed also on your post. There were a week or 6 days like break right there. And I just added that you could add like you can use an app to automatically post for you. And I actually looked into an app that seems pretty like straightforward. So I kind of did like a mock of like what it would look like for you for your Instagram. So here I took a picture of your deep fried pickles. And it's just, you could write it as like it's good for a social post, and then you could add the content to it. So like here I kind of just did an example of like a 10% off deal, and then you could add the text here as well. So it says 10% off today if you show this post at the register. So I thought that was like a good thing. So like you can be organized, and you could also share it to people that help you with your social media platform. So it's not just you handling it.
Right.
So yeah, and then like this one I did for college students. So we love our local college students. Come see us and try our signature sodas. Assuming that not all of us are like 21. So
Right.
I just added this picture that I found on one of your sites.
Okay.
And yeah, so I thought this was a really good site. I even looked at the subscription cost, and it didn't seem to be a lot, since I know you don't want to put too much investment in like paying for like things like that. So I also wanted to look into that for you. And then to add more to the Instagram, so I would say insert highlights. So that could be anything from live music, mini clips, food. So that brings awareness to your homemade food. That way people see that. Just because like I'm one of those people that enjoy seeing those type of pictures. I find them kind of very like attention grabbing.
Makes you hungry.
Yeah, exactly. Your menu and at tags. So that's like this would make customers feel like they're a part of Jack's Place community. So like probably just at like one of your regulars if they do use social media. And then another thing I like saw, but you could totally not do this. This is just like from what I was comparing to a different restaurant, was probably like changing your bio, just emphasizing more of like when you guys are open, when things are like available, and like when the live music happens and stuff. And you could even add your like Facebook link into it, and like here they have like their highlights, so that's like how it would appear on yours.
Okay.
And then a suggestion would be make one post a day on your story, if that's possible, so that increases your KPI. So that could be anything too, from like how Brian mentioned about the how, oh my gosh, my thoughts just went away. How Brian mentioned about the when people tag you on like their story, you as like the owner of your page could use that as well to tag. Yeah, so to tag them as well. So then I also used an example highlight here, so that how your highlights could potentially look. So that would bring awareness to your winery products. I kind of just found like a winery clip. And then I also did an example of a changed bio. So I kind of just put what you already had already, and then those little highlights as well, just because I think those are really effective, especially when people, I guess, stalk or come across your page, they could see and click those themselves. And then another thing I'd like to add is some social media promo ideas. So that could be like creating a calendar, just like how I showed you from the site. So that can just get yourself organized and disciplined, and you could even set goals for yourself, like for each month, like as a team. That way you guys have like one same goal you guys are trying to aim for. And then for student engagement, you could like potentially hold events where you could advertise, promote your restaurant. So I know they do that just because I almost did a business myself when I was at CWI last fall, and I just didn't go through with it. But I know they do where you could hold little events, like maybe like one of their classrooms, and kind of just promote your food maybe, or just let them know about events that are going on in your restaurant. And then a thing I would also say is maybe change up your platforms a little bit, since like I do think Facebook targets a different demographic than Instagram does. So I feel like that would kind of give you a boost on both sides and just increase your productivity as well. And then I kind of also used a student engagement here. So this is kind of how I see it. So like maybe if you even like put a flyer of like however that would look for you at one of like the CWI like boards, because I even look at those sometimes, and I feel like maybe someone will like that will catch their attention, and like it's just like a word of mouth, I feel like, to let them know that your restaurant's there and stuff. And a thing too is like you could also like put it on your tables, that they could at you and stuff, and take pictures of their food and stuff, because I do that myself, and I feel like that would bring awareness again to your restaurant. And then another thing I did was like I like your logo. I just feel like it should like be a little more sublimistic, I think. So I kind of made business logos, but if that's not something you're not even interested, you could totally scratch that idea out. I was like, oh, I'll just do something real quick. Just because I feel like if you have like a good simple logo, I feel like that also brings attention into your pages and stuff. So I kind of just did a little scribble of them, how they could look like. And then I also made a budget just to look into how like the subscription is, and like graphic designers for that. And you probably already like have like a graphic designer you go to and stuff, but I just wanted to add that as well. And then for the Airtable Pro, the one I showed you with the calendar and how it posts for you, so they had different like package deals, and that's really your decision if you look into it. But I know it goes from 10, 20, 30. So I didn't think it was too bad versus the others I've seen. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. I don't know if you have any questions for me, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have a question. And I think it's really great that, and actually you and Brian both listened to me, because I mentioned Instagram several times, and I know that it's a weak point for us. So I'm really happy to see that you put a lot of focus on that. And I know that that's something, these suggestions that you have, I think they're spot on and they're exactly what we need to be doing. I will say, I wasn't quite sure about the Airtable. I don't think you mentioned it by name, what that was. Is that's what we were looking at in the
Yes.
beginning?
Yeah. With
Okay,
Instagram.
all
Yeah.
right. Okay. And then on the last part you just showed where the expense of it, it doesn't say, was that a monthly expense or what time frame was that?
I believe the Airtable could be a monthly or a yearly expense.
Okay, so what you showed there was monthly?
Monthly, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And
That's
the graphic designer, I kind of just Googled graphic designers in
yeah, no, that's
Michigan,
fair.
so like, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Jeff's our graphic designer. So if you think we should have a new logo, I'd have to get him on here. I don't know. He's a tough
Yeah.
customer.
I'm like, I could bargain pretty good.
All right. Yep, if you're up for it, for sure. But yeah, I like those designs, and I thought that was those were cute and fresh. And I don't know if we would, completely change our logo to something like that, but maybe to, use it as kind of like a secondary imagery in some of the posting that we do and stuff. And like, I believe that would be something that would appeal to a younger audience. And that's kind of where we're looking at with Instagram anyway. So yeah. But yeah, I think you had some really great stuff, and I feel like those are things that I can incorporate in. I appreciate that you were very cost conscious too. I think that's something that I express. I don't, want to go out and spend a lot of money on advertising and marketing. And yeah, so you did a great job with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks to Kathy Ussery. And now we welcome in our color commentator extraordinaire, Marie Baker from the Small Business Development Center in Nampa. That was a pretty engaging couple of presentations, wouldn't you say?
They were great. And it was really fun and exciting to see that they got invested into the project, which is what I love. I mean, that's what you and I are here to do, is not only help the business owner, but help the students understand what this project looks like and how they can take it to the real world.
So let's start with Brian. He led off. I was really, really impressed with his preparation. What did you notice as soon as he began speaking from your perspective?
Well, what I noticed is he did his homework.
Yeah.
He looked at the site. He really delved into it. He noticed from his perspective what worked, what didn't work. And what I loved is he really gave some solid suggestions on what to do next. It wasn't just like, oh, well, we see you're doing this, but he had some really great ideas of what to do next. And so I really think that was helpful. I do think both of them, if I'm going to speak, one really great thing that could help is, especially for someone like Kathy, who's very busy, and you can tell that this is new territory for her. So perhaps, and Brian mentioned it a little bit, what's happening in April, baseball's coming. So I'm thinking a year-long calendar with suggested themes for each month, depending on what's happening in the community and in the sports arena, because they do are kind of a sports bar vibe, that both Carmen and Brian could think through. Their ideas were fabulous. Now I think for the business owner, giving her a framework in which to really drill down into this could help expedite with the tools that they suggested.
What would that framework sound like if you were making the pitch?
Well, the framework would be January. Let's start let's say we start January, celebrate the new year with us. And then it would be some sort of fun wellness kind of things for the month of January. And yes, there's alcohol and all the stuff involved, but Brian mentioned at different cocktails they have. They're a full service place. but it could be a healthy menu. It could be all sorts of things. It's a brand new start for the semester for students. So what does that look like? Kick off the new year right. And it goes on, you know, Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, but there's other things that go on, March Madness, obviously. But as you start thinking through it, it helps someone who's very busy have a theme, and then they project. July here is not only 4th of July, but it's the Snake River Stampede, those sorts of things. That's really what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so that when the craziness happens, you have a plan that you can amend, but you can always fall back on that.
Right.
I was curious too, as somebody from the business world, what is it like when somebody comes in and says, I'm thinking you might want to change your logo? That I felt like, oh boy, walking on.
You know what? You know, I think that that's okay. It's okay, because sometimes what really someone is saying is, I'm not sure your logo is saying what I hear you say that you're imparting. And that's, you know, so that's okay. It's an outside perspective. The owner can choose, or business, to do it or not do it. There is merit though in listening to what someone says, because that comes from a place of, I'm not, you know, your logo right now isn't giving me the vibe that I hear that you have. So I do think that Carmen handled that really well, and she did it in a lovely way. And really, sometimes it's hard when you're talking to someone because they're invested. And I did hear that. Jeff is the designer, so he's invested in that. And one thing that's important, Brian, for both you and Carmen to know, here at the SBDC, we do have logo development. That is free of charge to our clients. And so that's something that if they choose to do that, we could do that. So again, that's that cost-effective thing. It is challenging. However, at the same time, when there is, and I think both of them touched on this, with the social media, the vibe that Jack's Place wants to create is not necessarily what they're sharing on Instagram and on the social media. So both of them were really great about gently suggesting things that would give them the right vibe. And I think that was really cool. And especially I loved the DoorDash, Brian, going to the DoorDash.
Interesting, right?
Right. I think those are all things that are relevant. And Carmen picking up that, oh, you're only posting once every 6 days. So again, you go to the calendar, you say, okay, these are how many times you post. And oh, wait, if you have this tool that I'm suggesting, and there are lots of those types of tools, you can actually get those lovely photos and get them in and get them scheduled. And you can do it literally once a month.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
This is a little bit of a dream come true from the curriculum end, because I'm seeing from the students exactly what I was hoping, and what a joy it is to be able to now share this, and with your expert perspective commentary, maybe help somebody else who's going through the same thing.
I have to commend both students, Carmen and Brian. You exceeded my expectations in terms of what you did. I know that it's a challenge and it's scary, but what I was impressed about both of you is that you didn't back off, and you gave her real insightful information that will help if she chooses to use it. That's always the fun part, right?
Absolutely.
But that's okay. That's okay.
That's all we can do. Right.
That's right. You guys did your job, and it was impressive.
Marie, thank you again for your expert commentary. And we are going to be back in 1 month for the final presentations. I really hope you can join us for that as well. Thanks again for watching Otter Tank. Good night.